notices this and is very surprised, and Zhu jokingly calls Genya a prince on a white horse. However, the fun doesn't last long, because the leopard is still able to attack. Zhu tells Xiao that the beast that attacked the girl is a demonic moon leopard. This animal is not able to communicate with people in any way, but despite this, it is on top of the golden world. Summarizing all of the above, Yu asks Xiao to be careful, but there is not a shadow of fear on the young man's face. Xiao, on the contrary, is very glad that he found such a strong and powerful opponent so quickly. Zhen wraps his arms in black armor again and prepares to attack. The animal does not have time to attack the guy, as he strikes the leopard with a crushing blow with his fist, jumping on the beast from top to bottom. But once on the ground, the guy realizes that the leopard has disappeared. However, turning around, he noticed that he was surrounded by several identical leopards. Zhu tells Xiao that the leopard has used the demonic moon shadow, and the beast intends to fight to the last drop of blood. The girl offers Xiao help in the form of her strength, but the young man refuses the offer, mentioning that the girl herself said that the guy needs training. The beasts from all sides attack Xiao in a jump, but the guy creates a blue vortex of energy that repels the animals. Suddenly there are more leopards and Xiao realizes that he cannot cope with them alone, so he allows Zhu to merge and take control of his body. A powerful stream of Zhu energy crashed into Xiao's body and forced him into the air. A huge vortex formed around Genya and immediately descended. Xiao's body changed its appearance again. Half of Xiao was covered with a black shell. His eyes shone blue again and a horn was on his head. By the look of the young man, it became clear that Zhu had seized control of the body. Noticing this and feeling the powerful energy coming from the guy, the leopards got scared and started running away. However, before they knew it, the Zhu in Xiao's body grabbed the real leopard by the throat and his other shadows disappeared. At that moment, his beast core flew out of the animal. Zhu, being in Xiao's body, grabbed a clot of energy, which is an orange glowing ball, and swallowed it. Energy began to fill Xiao's body, and he noticed that this time the sensations of absorbing the power of the demonic beast were different from the last time. To this, Zhu replied to the guy that each animal's strength is different as well as cultivators. At this moment, very conveniently, an inarticulate mumbling was heard from the side of the pink-haired beauty lying on the ground. Before the girl finally came to her senses and realized that she was alive, Xiao attacked her with questions. He began to ask the girl about who she was and what she was doing in this place. The girl was frightened by such assertiveness on the part of the guy and jumped back. To clarify what was happening, Xiao reminded the girl that she was being chased by a demonic beast from which Zhen, who happened to be nearby, saved her. The girl awkwardly got up from the ground, apologized and introduced herself as Qinla. Qin said that she was a follower of the sect of flowers and asked Genya about which sect he was from. The young man told the girl his name and said that he did not belong to any of the sects. Hearing the name of the guy, the girl, not believing her ears, repeated it out loud and looked at Xiao in shock. Sitting in the cave near the fire, Qin looked at Xiao through the flames and speculated about whether Xiao Ren was really in front of her. It was already dark outside at that moment and it was pouring rain. The girl couldn't believe that Xiao was a traitor to the Beast Sect, because he didn't look like a villain. Zhu, who was hovering invisibly next to Xiao, noted that her master was holding up well, given the fact that the girl was looking at him quite closely. Xiao, on the other hand, was busy with completely different thoughts at this moment. Zhen realized that Zhu was right and without her strength he would have lost the fight to the leopard. Based on Qinla's awareness of who Xiao was, the guy concluded that Yin Wangting had already announced to everyone that the young man had betrayed the sect, and now, after learning that Xiao was alive, every person in Xianmeng would hunt for Zhen. This fact made Xiao so angry and upset that he clenched his fist with more force than he broke the branch. From surprise, Li shuddered, shouted and recoiled from the fire. Xiao, in turn, quickly got up and announced that he would return soon, left the cave. Qin watched Xiao from afar and caught herself thinking that although the guy did not look like a villain, his appearance was ferocious. From cold and hunger, the girl missed her sect, because there, at home, she was waiting for warmth, comfort and a soft bed. With these thoughts, the girl unexpectedly fell into a dream for herself. Qin woke up from the smell. Opening her eyes, she found that Xiao was frying 2 pieces of meat on the fire for himself and her. Seeing Li's surprised face, Zhen said that the second piece of meat was already ready, and the girl could start eating it. Qin took the meat on the stick in her hands and smelled a wonderful smell. The girl took a bite of the meat and was surprised at how delicious it turned out to be. After that, it was even harder for the girl to believe that Xiao was a bad person. Li was surprised to notice that the valley they were in was a very dangerous place, but despite this, Xiao felt at home here. The guy was able to easily find dry brushwood and get such delicious meat. The guy replied that he had been living in this valley alone for several months and was used to this place. Hearing this, the girl choked with surprise. She couldn't believe that someone could live for months in such a dangerous place. Jen shared that he himself did not believe that he could survive in this valley, and he was literally on his last legs when he found himself in this place. After finishing the delicious meat, the girl remembered that her teacher believes that only a person with a pure and kind heart can cook delicious food. After thinking about this, the girl was surprised to ask Xiao about why he decided to betray the sect of the beast and suggested that perhaps there was some misunderstanding or disagreement between Xiao and leader Yin. Hua urged Genya to share the story with her so that she could pass the information to her teacher so that he, in turn, would help them reconcile. Ju, watching all this, noted what a nice girl Leia is. However, Xiao did not share her delight, because he was alerted by the fact that Qin called wanting the leader. Le told Jen that a meeting of sect masters had recently taken place, at which they chose the one who would stand at the head of San Men. As a result, since the sect of the beast is the strongest, the choice fell on her, and thus Yin Wanting ceased to be the master of the sect of the beast and became the leader of Zion Men. The girl also shared that it was rumored that this happened because Yin was able to comprehend the ancient method of creating beast cores and was able to create a heavenly beast core, which brought his cultivation to the level of divine transformation. Suddenly, the flames of the fire broke out, from which the girl was frightened and recoiled back. This happened because Xiao was so angry at what he heard that he couldn't control his energy. Jen was shocked and furious. He admitted that Yin's plan was ambitious, because the heavenly core of the beast that Xiao made helped Wanting capture Zion Men. Hearing these words, Lu was surprised and asked Genya if he really called the core his own. Then Jen decided to tell the girl about how it really was. The unsuspecting Xiao did not know that at that time, in the new temple of the Royal Beast Sect, Qiu Shui was reporting to his master Yin Wanting that he had met Xiao Zhen and he was still alive. In a spacious hall with black walls and low lighting, in the middle of which there was a chair, there were Yin Wanting, Qiu Shui and his brother. The new leader of San Men sat majestically on a modest wooden throne against the far wall, while the brothers stood at the door. After hearing that Xiao Zhen was alive and Nangong had met him, the second brother became enraged and grabbed Qiu Shui by the collar. The guy with red hair began shaking his brother and shouting at him, as he wondered why Nangong did not finish Xiao on the spot. Qiu Shui replied that it was not necessary, since they had no reason to be afraid of Genya. In addition, at the time of their fight, the guy was called by the teacher and he decided that it was more important to come to his call than to continue fighting. But the brother did not believe the guy and began to accuse him that he was lying and in fact just chickened out and ran away. Yin Wanting, who was watching this exchange, loudly ordered the young men to be silent and stop swearing. The teacher asked Qiu Shuya if he was sure that he had met Xiao Zhen and not someone else. In response to the master's question, the green-haired guy bowed and assured the teacher that it was absolutely Xiao. After hearing this, the master began to think about what kind of miracle could happen in the Wanshu Valley with Zhen, because Yin not only deprived him of the core of the beast, but also destroyed his cultivation, and Xiao was still able to recover and continued to spoil the life of Wanting. Nangong's brother told the teacher that he was ready with a great desire to get rid of Xiao Zhen so that he would no longer cause problems to the sect. But the master replied that he wanted to catch Xiao Zhen alive, but if he resisted strongly, he could be killed. Yin also added that at the moment he needs to focus on the Immortal Alliance, that is, on connecting all the sects of Zion Meng, because he just became the leader and he needs to show his best side. Both brothers promised to carry out Yin Wanting's order. The teacher stood up and asked if Xiao Ren had been able to injure Nangong. He advised the young man not to blame himself for what had happened, because the master had called him on an important errand. In response to this, Qiu Shui said that he would obey the teacher. However, Wanting ordered the guys to rest and they obediently left the room. The leader was left alone with his thoughts and thought that Xiao Zhen could become an excellent student like Qiu Shui or Lai Jian. But unfortunately the guy is too talented and the teacher had to sacrifice him to make the sect stronger. Yin Wanting decided that if Xiao Ren decided to lay low, he would be spared, but if Ren tried to harm the beast sect, there would be no mercy for him. The next morning, Zhu and Xiao had already woken up in Wanshui Valley. The girl noted how pleasant the weather is outside after the rain and how bright the sun is shining. At this time, La ran out of the cave in tears. She started crying about how sorry she was for Genya for all that he had to go through, and she didn't even realize what a terrible person Yin really was. In response, Xiao asked Qin if she was afraid that the guy was cheating on her. But the girl did not even doubt that Xiao was right. She decided that there was no need for him to deceive her and she did not believe that such a good person as Xiao could do that. After hearing all this, Ju asked Xiao about how he thinks, is Le kind or just stupid? But Jen did not answer her, so as not to betray the presence of Ju. Xiao only told Qin that the Wanshu Valley they were currently in was a dangerous place and she had better return to her sect. But the girl objected and said that she had a very important mission and she came to the valley to catch a beast for her master. The fact is that her teacher's birthday is coming soon and she would like to give her something special. Xiao asked the girl what kind of animal she would like to catch so that he could help her. La said she wanted to catch a golden-voiced jade vibrating bird. Both Ju and Jen shouted in surprise, "What?" The carefree Qin replied that if it was hard for Xiao Zhen to do such a thing, she could catch the bird herself. The girl assured the guy that he could not worry about her getting lost, because Li even specially bought a map of the Wanshu Valley for this mission. Looking at the map, Xiao asked how much Li had paid for such a valuable thing. To which Qin replied that the ancestor of the owner of the map risked his life drawing it, so he asked for 5,000 immortal stones. Shocked, Xiao asked the girl if she really paid 5,000 for it, to which La reassured him that she was able to bargain up to 3. After that, La, Jen and invisible to Qin Ju went after the bird, following the map. The girl was walking in front, and the guy was walking a little behind her. Ju told Xiao that La had something besides the map and he should deal with it, to which Jen mumbled that he understood her. La heard this and asked Xiao why he was sighing and who he was talking to. The girl shared that she sometimes feels like there is someone else besides the two of them. Jen awkwardly laughing assured the girl that it just seemed to her and her imagination was running wild, or else some insects were just flying around her. The girl didn't quite believe Xiao's words when she suddenly shouted, "Look," pointing to the right. According to the map, the golden-eyed jade bird should be right in front of the travelers. Ju thought that ghost birds should gather in this place, and Jen was surprised that Li even understands something about this map. After walking a little forward, the travelers found themselves in front of a beautiful waterfall, in front of which golden hieroglyphs flaunted in the air. La said that these are golden letters and their appearance means that the bird will appear soon. Jen said that he did not trust the card, but Ju assured him that he should get it, as it would help him with cultivation. Suddenly La abruptly jerked somewhere to the side and Xiao ran after her. Stopping, they found themselves near the other side of the waterfall and finally saw the bird. It was a large, indescribably beautiful green bird with golden feathers in its tail, and golden letters hovered in the sky around it. Qin noticed out loud that the bird was really very beautiful. Hearing this, the bird transmitted the vibration energy towards the people to knock them down. But the stubborn Li did not want to give up. She called the bird's attack an ordinary breeze and assured that he would not stop it. Jen asked the girl not to hurry, but it was too late. She took out a pouch and shouted that her fire would use the bird the same way she uses the wind. Fire beads flew out of the pouch towards the beast. However, the bird was so strong that it was able to blow them back towards the girl with its strength, extinguishing the beads. But Li did not stop and ordered the fire to return. After her words, several more fire beads flew out of the pouch. Watching all this, Xiao asked Ju if she thought Qin could handle it. Ju only smiled at this and replied to Xiao that he obviously didn't know anything about this bird. According to legend, the first golden-voiced jade vibrating bird appeared after a sermon by a priest. The beast is a rare spiritual being and is able to turn the words of saints into weapons, thereby striking the soul. The golden-voiced bird can preach sermons. She is a monster of the Middle or Late Jingdan period. La, in turn, used the 5 elements spell, which was an early base of Jindan cultivation. After learning all this, Xiao decided that he should help Qin. But Ju stopped him, saying that the golden-voiced vibrating bird is a monster with little spiritual wisdom, so she is unlikely to withstand another blow from La. If Ju and Jen interfere, the bird will lose its energy and become useless. While Ju and Xiao talk about the situation, La tries to lure the bird into his trap by saying that if she obediently follows her, nothing will happen to the animal. But the bird does not agree to this condition and responds to Qin with another wind energetic wave. La swore at the bird and decided that if the animal does not want to do good, it means it is in a bad way. The girl took out a second bag, apparently responsible for the element of water. Combining fire and water in yin-yang and using the power of their harmony, the girl attacks the bird with a water dragon. The bird responds to this attack with a sermon and golden hieroglyphs dissect the dragon. Qin is surprised to realize that even the combination of water and fire is powerless against this animal. The golden-voiced jade bird begins to read a new sermon and its hieroglyphs penetrate directly into the mind of Qin. The girl's head begins to split from the sounds and she falls to her knees with a scream and crying, holding her head. Pleased with himself, the bird looks towards the girl, when suddenly, from behind, during the interval between 2 sermons, the beast is attacked by Xiao. However, the bird quickly caught the guy's presence and managed to repel his attack. Jen was surprised by such a quick reaction of the bird, but he did not miss either. Xiao started running around the bird, thereby distracting its attention. At the time when the bird began to take off to hide from Genya, the guy managed to touch the bird and injure its belly. Xiao regretted that he did not get to the right place, but noted that with such an injury, the animal would not fly far. At that moment, Le woke up and began to look around. The girl quickly realized that the bird was injured and wanted to escape. Xiao also realized this and decided to use the lunar leopard technique, namely the shadow of the moon demon. A lot of his copies appeared around Genya and they all moved towards the bird. Watching this, Qin realized that Xiao was masquerading as a monster, unlike the Imperial Beast Sect, who used the Imperial Envoy as a weapon. From all sides, Xiao's clones attack the bird, but she decides to create an ultimatum sermon and a huge golden hieroglyph appears above the bird. The beast directs it directly at Xiao's forehead, but it turns out that it is his clone. Jen didn't know if the injuries of the clones were reflected on the body of the person himself, and, frightened, quickly dispersed them. Xiao realizes that he has not studied this technique enough yet, while Zhu tells the CMU that the golden-voiced bird's strength is already running out. The bird takes off and tries to escape towards the waterfall, but Qin attacks the bird with the element of water with lightning speed. Jen notes to himself that the beast did not even try to dodge the attack, and it looks like the trick with shadows touched not only Xiao, but also the bird itself. The beast is trying to regain strength, but it is getting worse by the second. Xiao calls Lady Qin to him and says that they still have time for the final attack. Xiao uses the fatal blow of the fallow deer, and the blue vortex of energy finally finishes off the bird, leaving a deep trace in the ground. Surprised, Lu wonders to herself what kind of power this is and where Xiao got it from. The lady is surprised at how strong Jen is, while the guy runs towards the bird. After reaching the beast, La falls to her knees and says with relief that they finally managed to catch this naughty bird. The beast at this time lies submissively on the stone, unable to move. Suddenly, two of her little chicks fly up to the bird. La is touched and wants to approach the kids, but the bird looks at the girl with a threat. Jen warns La that she should not approach the animal's children, because she can destroy her inner core for their salvation. Qin asks Jen about whether he knew about this bird. Jen replied that apparently, after Xiao injured her, she realized that she could not cope with them and wanted to fly away, but she could not. The bird tried to distract people from their children, but Le and Jen knocked it down and the animal had to fight to the death. Jen also noted that if Qin provokes the bird, it can destroy everyone. At that moment, Zhu told Xiao that the golden-eyed jade bird was very smart and would never abandon her children, so it was impossible to catch her. Realizing her mistake, Le decided that she would not try to catch the bird and cured all its wounds. Qin also said that she no longer needed the map of Wanshu Valley and gave it to Jen. Xiao noted that Le was very generous and awkwardly thanked her for the gift, to which Qin replied that her teacher had taught her to thank people. Le began to approach the bird, assuring her that she would not take her to the flower sect, and the animal had no reason to be afraid of her. Zhu told Xiao that she thought Jen and Le had a lot in common, but privately noted that one day naivety and kindness could become their weaknesses. At this time, Le had already managed to do something and, shouting that she would not tear the bird's feathers, began to run away from her, surrounded by chicks. Jen asked Zhu why they needed the map given to them by Qin, because it was written in demonic characters that he did not understand. The girl replied that this was a ban that was imposed on the card, and in order to remove it and read the card, you need to use a special technique. With the help of the energy of her power, Zhu created a kind of glasses with which Xiao was able to read the map and understand what was written on it. Suddenly Zhu saw something on the map and shouted. Jen asked what the girl had noticed, to which she replied that she would take Xiao to the treasure. Le said goodbye to Xiao and promised that she would tell her teacher about the unfair treatment to him. After a while, Jen and Zhu found themselves in the cave of 10,000 beasts. Moving deeper into the cave with a torch in his hand, Xiao noted that this place has a difficult terrain. Zhu shared with Xiao that she and other people from the legend once lived in this place, to which Jen asked in surprise why then she was able to find this place only with the help of a map. The girl replied that there had been huge changes during the time she was in the valley and everything had changed in the cave itself, too. Zhu reminded Xiao that Le no longer has a card and asked Jenya if he was worried about her. Xiao replied that he was actually a little worried about Qin, to which Zhu replied, then why did he go to the cave with her, and not stay with Qin? Jenya was uncomfortable discussing this and he asked the girl to stop her questions. Suddenly, a drop fell on the map from the ceiling of the cave and a drawing appeared on it. It showed Zhu with some man. Xiao was surprised and asked Zhu about why this happened. The surprised girl looked at the map and told that a few hundred years ago she met a man in a cave. He was attacked by evil spirits, but the master, seeing the evil egg in the hands of that person, became very angry and hated the cultivator who stole it with all his heart. Later it turned out that the man was not a cultivator, but an ordinary person and stole an egg for his dying wife. In the end, the master gave the man medicine for his wife, and he, in turn, drew a portrait of Zhu with her teacher. Zhu did not even think that she would be able to see this picture after several hundred years. At this time, Xiao reached a large stone door in the cave wall, and asked Zhu if they had come there. Zhu walked up to the tall stone doors and confirmed that this was the place she had mentioned earlier. Zhu touched the door with the words, "Master, Zhu is back." The girl began to recite a spell and blue hieroglyphs began to appear on the doors. The doors opened and Xiao saw a large stone room. Xiao privately assumed that this was the residence of the previous owner of Zhu. The room was very primitive. It contained one stone bed and one stone table. Zhu told Xiao that once the master loved people, but also because of the so-called true path he knew betrayal. In the end, the master could only live with Zhu in this small stone cave. Zhu shared with Jen that she chose him not only because he was able to create the heavenly core of the beast, but also because he and her master have the same fate, and therefore this time the girl will not make the same mistakes. Zhu spoke about it with sadness on her face and bitterness in her voice. After she finished speaking, the girl went to the entrance of the other room and called Xiao to follow her. Going inside, Jen was very surprised and froze from what he saw. He couldn't believe that there was a demonic beast's coffin in front of him. With one movement of her hand, Zhu touched the stone slab and blue signs appeared on it, after which the slab moved away. Jen was very scared and screamed that the coffin had opened. The surprised girl turned to Xiao with a bundle in her hands and asked him why he was shouting. Jen awkwardly scratched his head and said that he thought there was something else in the coffin. Jen noticed the bundle in Zhu's hand and asked her what it was. The girl replied that she was holding a jade letter that the master had left her when he left her, saying that it contained a legacy. Jen asked Zhu again about what left means. The girl said that where they are standing, there is his grave. In the last battle, the master chose to fight alone. Before he went into battle, he ordered her to keep his legacy and wait for the next person destined for her by fate. In the end, the master did not return and Zhu had to terminate the contract with him, which led to a significant decline in her strength. Thus, the girl was left alone in the Wanshu Valley for several years, until she finally met Xiao. Summing up all the above, the girl handed the jade letter to Zhenya. Taking the bundle in his hands, the thread opened and pieces of jade writing floated in the air around Xiao along with the hieroglyphs written on them. Suddenly Zhen found himself in a clearing, and a man was sitting on the grass in front of him. Xiao guessed that it was the master of the demonic beast Zhu. When the gentleman saw Zhenya, he asked him if he could drink. Xiao did not understand the question, when suddenly some unknown cloud of energy began to appear in front of him. Zhen tried to hold him, but I can't figure out what kind of power it is. A bowl of water appeared in Xiao's hands, which he emptied, after which he looked questioningly at the master. The master replied that Xiao drinks badly, but his strength satisfies him. However, the master was concerned about the question of why the core of Zhu is in Zhenya's body. The master came close to Xiao and Zhen was scared, but he didn't show it. Zhen replied that he was suddenly betrayed and the golden core was destroyed, and Zhu saved him. At the moment, Xiao and Zhu have a common core and they exist together. Hearing such an answer, the master was surprised and did not believe that Xiao was not lying. At that moment, Xiao's body was still in the stone room, and Zhu, who was watching him, noticed that the young man's breathing had quickened. The girl began to worry about what was going on. The master created an aura of purple-colored energy around Xiao and began to put pressure on the young man, asking about who he was. Zhen began to answer the master that there was no need for him to check on him and he would adequately take care of Zhu, because the girl saved him when he was near death, and if she had problems, he would help her at the cost of his life. The master replied only that in his opinion Zhen is smart enough and the teacher hopes that Xiao will remember this meeting. Suddenly hieroglyphs appeared in the air, and the master urged Zhenya to remember them, because they were the secrets of controlling the beasts, and could be very useful. The master also asked Xiao to take care of Zhu. In fact, the fact that Zhu gave him the jade letter indicates that she recognized the young man, but the master still doubted the choice of the girl. The master told Xiao that the true way to control the beast is to become a friend for him. We need to treat each other as equals and unite two souls. If Xiao does this, then he and Zhu will be able to achieve an inseparable bond and their power will generate unlimited possibilities, and all beings will worship them. The master gave Xiao his last strength, in the hope that they would help the young man and Zhu. He urged Xiao and Zhu to trust each other. The master said that he would look forward to when they would stand at the head of the Beast Sect and sow turmoil in this world. The spirit of the master in the form of a letter did not have to exist for long, and he again called on Xiao to remember everything he said and showed him. After that, the master, like a piece of paper, split into several small pieces and scattered in the air. Zhu was sitting at the high stone doors outside the room and playing with a ball created from energy. Apparently, she had been waiting for Xiao for quite a long time. Suddenly the doors opened and the guy went out into the cave. Zhu eagerly approached him and began to ask about what was in the jade letter. Jen replied to her that he had met with a master of demonic beasts. They placed the jade letter on the stone table and left the cave. Standing at the entrance to the cave, Xiao asked Zhu if she was sure what she was going to do. The girl replied that her master loved this place during his lifetime and it was his method to stay in harmony with nature. Xiao lent Zhu his body, letting her in. The girl created a lot of balls of blue energy around herself and then directed them towards the cave at once. Because of this, a rockfall occurred and the entrance to the cave was blocked. Now no one could enter there anymore. Xiao Ren bowed and announced that he was saying goodbye to the respected demon beast master. At this time, in the beast sect, Yin Wanting was fighting with two animals in order to get their cores. First, he defeated a huge gray wolf by binding it with threads from a clot of his green energy. Then a huge purple water dragon jumped out of the water. He tried to attack the master, but he reacted first and pierced the beast with sharp needles of his energy. The animal fell into the water, and Wanting will be able to get two dark green kernels. He admired them and thought about how much use they could bring him. Yin realized that heavenly cores not only help to increase cultivation at times, but can also improve various beasts. At that moment, Qiu Shui and his brother Lai Jian arrived at the temple. They reported to the master that the Beast Sect is the highest sect of the Immortal Alliance, and therefore all the major sects of the Immortal Alliance responded to the meeting. However, from the looks of it, the other three big clans out of the four big clans and Xian men didn't like it. To this, Yin replied that the Immortal Alliance is dominated by the Beast Sect, so there is no need for four great clans. The leader gave the brothers black cores and ordered them to kill everyone who stood in their way. At this time, Xiao was sitting in the forest by the fire in his usual lotus position. Zhen concentrated on the energy in him and his aura burned yellow. The guy was thinking that in the sect of the beast he had been taught a method of management, which consisted in the fact that a person should control a beast, a man is a master, and a beast is a slave. Given Zhenya's current strength, he could not fully understand the legacy of the demon beast master, but the spiritual power he had bestowed on him would still be fully useful to the young man. In the temple of the Beast Sect, the brothers Qiu Shui and Lai Jian were floating in the air in the lotus position, concentrating on their energy. The green and purple aura hovered around them. At some point, the leader directed the threads of his green energy towards the guys to attack them. Above the brothers, their beasts immediately appeared. Above Qiu Shui, a large green snake called the Devil Snake, and above Lai Jiang, a purple bird called the Fire Hawk. Both animals repelled Yin Wanting's attack. The brothers enjoyed the strength given to them by the leader and thanked him for the cores. The teacher helped them to gather together the soul of the beast and strengthen it. Thereby the brothers broke through to the boundaries of the original Yin level. However, young men should practice controlling such a strong beast themselves. The man sent the guys and ordered them to show everyone how solid the place of the Beast Sect in the Immortal Alliance is. After leaving the temple, Lai Jian asked his brother if he was excited. The youth replied that he was looking forward to the completion of the Beast Sacrifice Tower, and when the entire Immortal Alliance would submit to their Beast Sect. At this time, Jen, dressed in a hooded robe, milking the disguise and, as always, invisible to others, Zhu was watching the tower. The girl noted that the structure looks quite majestic and teacher Xiao has a good taste in architecture. Jen objected, saying that Yin Wanting is not his teacher and everything that this man does is dirty and vile. Zhu noted to herself that her master had become much calmer. Two guys not far from Xiao exchanged their thoughts about the fact that this time the sect of the beast is holding a ceremony of sacrifice to the beast. Zhenya was interested in this conversation and he decided to eavesdrop a little. One of the men said that last month, the sect outshone everyone at the Immortal Alliance meeting and it showed that it was the #1 sect. So it is quite obvious that they decided to hold a ceremony of sacrifice to the beast. The second man agreed with the first, because even the other four strongest sects of Beihua, Mai Yao, and Tianling 11 did not say anything. What can we say about the opinion of ordinary people? The second guy in response shared rumors that even before the meeting of the Immortal Alliance, a traitor appeared in the sect of the beast, whom they still have not caught. After that, Xiao abruptly rushed towards the temple and called Zhu to follow him. They decided to check out the situation near the tower and understand what was going on there. Zhu shared with Xiao that in one prophecy it was said that the Beast Sect would hold a sacrifice ceremony for the beast in the hall of the Immortal Alliance on the 15th day of the 5th month. So the head of the sect, using the heavenly core of the beast, would be able to subdue the most ancient evil spirits. It seems that teacher Xiao will use the ceremony of sacrificing to the beast to assert his authority. A lot of cultivators will come to the ceremony, so Zhu asked Xiao if they would go there. Jen replied that they would go, as it was a rare opportunity to see such a thing. The girl said that in this case, as long as they are not being chased to kill, they should have fun in this world again. Xiao remembered the master's words that he should protect Zhu. The guy decided that it was better to first think about how they would get into the ceremony, because it was too risky to just invade the hall of the Immortal Alliance. Suddenly, two men flew right in front of Xiao. A certain Chu Yan, a disciple of the Scarlet Fury sect, hit them hard and was outraged that they dared to challenge the decisions of the Beast Sect. The guys replied that Chu Yan is a disciple of the Scarlet Fury sect and there is no need for him to get involved in a conversation between two men about the Beast Sect. Besides, the Immortal Alliance is not subordinate to the Beast Sect. Chu Yan was amazed by what he heard and said that for his sect, the Beast Sect is the head of the Immortal Alliance, and these men dared to talk about it so arrogantly. According to the guy, they deserved a good beating for this. Chu Yan kicked the table in front of him hard, so that it flew into one of the men and knocked him to the ground. The student stepped on the man from above and called him garbage. The man replied that the Scarlet Fury sect does nothing but beat people and asked why, when at the very beginning the Beast Sect did not have such a high status. The disciples of the Scarlet Fury sect were not so audacious. Chu Yan was very angry with this statement and he directed the palm of heavenly fire attack directly at the man. He was about to burn the man, but he was stopped by a voice shouting that the members of the Beast Sect were also too arrogant. After looking at the one who was hiding, Chu Yan demanded that he take off his mask and reveal his identity. A disciple of the Scarlet Fury sect concluded that the guy standing in front of him at least owns a golden core, because he was able to stop the palm of heavenly fire. Xiao introduced himself by a fake name, Shuang Yu. Zhu laughed at him, because this name was similar to another one, Mozi, which translated meant posthumous manuscript. Chu Yan realized that the name he heard meant nothing to him and assumed that the guy was a disciple of some secret sect. Chu Yan said that now the Beast Sect is the leader in the Immortal Alliance, and some unknown person insulted her with obscene words. Therefore, the man succumbed to emotions and put them in their place. Suddenly, Chu Yan was enraged again that one of the men bowed to Xiao in gratitude. He decided to finish Zhen off and attacked him with two palms of fire. But Zhen turned out to be stronger, so a few minutes later Chu Yan was already standing in the temple of his sect and reporting to the teacher. The guy's face was swollen from beatings. In this form, he reported to his master that the guy who beat him had taken the invitation to the ceremony from one of the students. Lai Jian asked the head of the Fury sect, Gong Sun Feng, to give this information to Lai Jian. The master was angry that some Shuang Yu dared to humiliate a disciple of his sect in public and vowed to turn him into ashes.